Yeah.
All right. So script.
Yes.
Maybe we should give the script a little. Why don't you give it a read before
You know what? I
we
already
start?
did it. I already did it. I did it earlier today.
Wow.
I happened to see it and I went in and looked and I changed a couple little just a couple words here and there.
Wait, what? What?
Yeah, I changed some shit.
Wait, you changed
some shit. Yeah.
What? Wait, what?
I rewrote it. I rewrote the script. All right. I wanted to make it punchier. Welcome to Backtracking, the show where two old friends take a second listen to influential bands' catalogs track by track. I'm J. William Hall.
And I'm Dan Fiden. We'll be taking this journey together, J. William and I, providing context, both historical and personal, on some legendary bands. For our second season, we have selected none other than indie rock darlings, American Music Club. J. William Hall, I cannot believe we're here again. As I sit, number 33,112 in line to purchase Rush tickets for Chicago. I am ready to get going with you to talk about a band
Yes.
that is equally terrific, equally deep, rich, open to interpretation. I said rich. I didn't mean rich in the financial sense. They are most certainly not as rich as Rush in the financial sense, but gosh, in the emotional sense, in the lyrical sense, in every sense, except the dollars and cents. Am I right, J. William Hall?
Yes.
They are American Music Club, and they are terrific. We thought we were going to cover Brannan Street in a single episode, and we failed. We failed utterly because there's too much richness in it. And so we are back to cover the second side of the album right now. Why don't we move on? Ramblin' Man is the next song to discuss.
Yes.
2 minutes and 40 seconds, J. William Hall. This is another interesting one that we're going to need to discuss, so let's listen.
Okay.
I can settle down and be doing just fine till I hear an old train rolling down the line.
Okay, J. William Hall, I'm not sure if you knew that this is a Hank Williams cover.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah. This
All right.
is a Hank Williams cover, and I'm not talking about Hank 3, okay? I'm not even talking about Hank 2.
Okay.
I'm talking about Hank 1, the original.
The OG.
Hank Williams. Yeah. And it's a fairly true cover. There is probably the most, notable thing that's missing is the kind of yodel that happens in the Hank Williams version.
Okay.
Hank Williams version. But it's a cover. I thought it was a great version. I thought, again, it really kind of connects, at least for me, perfectly with It's Never Over. Feels a piece with that. But the question I really wanted to ask you when during the episode is, why do you think he chose to cover Hank Williams at this point in his career? On his solo records, he's covered other people, but he in fact had a cover album, right? Like he had an album where he did all covers. But he really has not done any country music at all across all of the covers.
No, he did Snowbird. That's kind of country.
We're not gonna call Anne Murray country,
What?
are we? We're gonna call Anne Murray. We're gonna call Anne Murray. All right, well, then I guess my theory is wrong. I don't think of Anne Murray as country. I think of her as kind of Canadian pop.
Well, I mean, she blurred the line between 70s era country and Canadian pop. You can only think of one. It's Anne Murray.
All right, we're going to have the listeners write in and kind of give us their opinion on this because
Season 7 of Backtracking. Anne Murray, I'm just putting it out there.
Yeah,
she traversed from singers, from country folk to Canadian pop legend.
Yeah, well, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I, but at least the way I was thinking about it is to cover Hank Williams, which, he really, in the Mount Rushmore of kind of classic country performers, he's probably in the middle of it, right? I mean, incredibly frequently referenced influence by everyone from fucking Bob Dylan to, Willie Nelson to name it. And to make the decision to cover Hank Williams at this point in his career, again, when like AMC kind of noodled with country stuff here and there, but I wouldn't really consider them like an, alt country band.
What? You wouldn't consider?
No, I wouldn't. Oh, wow. I feel like we're getting to a really fundamental disagreement here about AMC. What? Go ahead.
No, well, I wouldn't say like, solidly alt country, but they blurred. That's what makes them unique is that they crossed multiple genres, and alt country, I think I would say is one of them.
I wouldn't disagree with that. There are country influenced songs within the catalog. There's no question. But I don't think that's the prevailing aesthetic of AMC.
The pedal steel, like, and not that it's played in a traditional country way, but like that sound alone,
So you think if you just show up with a pedal steel, you're all country?
I think the only reason to
it's like saying the Beatles played Indian music.
No, listen. Well, listen. If you put a sitar on the track, you're trying to evoke Indian music. If you put a pedal steel on a track, you're trying to invoke country. Like,
okay.
Do you disagree with that?
Yeah. I think that can be the case, but I don't think that is necessarily the case. And I would argue that AMC and Caffin's use of the pedal steel, what makes it so interesting is it's an unexpected instrument for a rock band played in a very non-traditional way most of the time. There are certainly songs where he plays it in a more traditional way. Why Won't You Stay maybe is a good example of that.
Crab Walk.
Most of the time, he's doing really unusual things with that instrument, right?
Yes, agreed. But I do think that it plants the country seed in the DNA. So that's all I'm saying.
It's funny. I just kind of think of, I guess maybe this is wrong, but I'm just realizing that my framework has been that Eitzel really kind of is this, and this is the way I was thinking about him. Eitzel is this fundamentally punk rock performance art performer who was heavily influenced by very emotional, high drama pop music from all eras prior to, when he was a kid, basically. So, that's where you get this Johnny Mathis feat Mark Eitzel, right? Mm-hmm. As a performer, he's fundamentally punk rock. But as a music fan, he likes this high drama cabaret stuff. And his songwriting ended up as this kind of interesting hybrid. And then further, he hooked up with this band at American Music Club who put that unique approach to songwriting and performance into yet another kind of blender. And that's where the country got in. That's where the country got thrown in, right? And I guess why I'm bringing up the Hank Williams thing and all this stuff is maybe I was just wrong the whole time, and Eitzel was much more influenced by country music than I ever thought. But it really seems like he's kind of, coming out of the closet on this record as a country fan. And I didn't know. Is that crazy? You're looking at me like that's crazy. Clearly that's crazy.
A
but
little
that's
bit.
Totally how I felt here.
Obviously he must have liked country enough to allow, the band to make his songs into country songs, I think he had more of a say in that. He wasn't anti-country. I don't know. Maybe it's a song he liked when he was a kid. Maybe it's he was doing it for a project. Maybe he was doing it for a favor. This one has a demo kind of feel to it. So maybe he was just kind of fucking around and did it on a whim. But at any rate, it stands apart, and I did not do the extra backtracking research to discover that it was a cover. So I was kind of like, was he trying to write a, country standard kind of sounding song? And and it's like, well, that's because it was a country standard that he was covering.
Yeah. No, I'll tell you what. I was changing the brake pads in one of the cars.
Tough guy.
And underneath that, I got the grease on my face, and I got my onesie on.
The Fast and the Furious. Oh.
And I'm listening to this album while I'm doing it, and I heard the song, and I'm like, God, that song, it really is hooky, but I feel like, even beyond hooky, I feel like I might have heard it before, but it isn't immediately obviously evocative as the Hank Williams cover, right? I didn't connect that immediately, but the two things that popped into my head are one, wow, this is hooky in a way that most of the time Eitzel songs are not hooky, just a different style. And so I ended up just being I think this might be a cover, but I couldn't place it. And then I searched around and realized, yeah, of course, it's this Hank one. And if you heard the Hank Williams version, 100% you've heard the song before. I mean, it's I
probably
a song
have,
you would have heard.
but I'm not immersed in Hank Williams.
Well, you are now. You are now. All right, so listen, we've discussed that enough. We need to move on, J. William Hall, to Your Heart. 3 minutes and 1 second. Let's go.
Your heart must haunt you. Your heart must haunt you.
So, such a simple guitar part.
Yes. So this one is played a little differently. Instead of plucking or doing a whole bunch of notes or finger picking, instead of just strumming straight, this one is he's plucking these 2 or 3 string chords rhythmically, quarter notes kind of throughout, and that's what's kind of creating the backbone of the song. And this one, I feel like you can hear the cabaret. It almost sounds like a Broadway song to me. If it was fully fleshed out, it could be great big, a Broadway, big belting performance. But it's not. I mean, it's just him and acoustic. So, but I really like it.
Yeah, the guitar playing, it's a different rhythm, different tone, but it reminded me of the song "Are You the Trash?" Do you remember that one from?
Yes.
I believe it was off of West. It might have been off of West. I probably should have looked this up.
Yes, good callback.
It was on one of the kind of late or early mid '90s solo albums, and it felt a little bit similar. I think that the chorus in this song...
Oh, it's on Caught in a Trap. It's the first song Caught in a Trap, yeah.
Okay, so chorus I thought was such an interesting and really memorable and extremely catchy chorus. But I did have to ask you, it really sounds like in every time the chorus comes up here, it sounds to me like he's having trouble finding the note. He's kind of going back and forth between he's not going up an octave, but it's almost like he's going up to the third and singing it sometimes.
Yeah.
But it, you know what I mean? It just really kind of felt
Well,
like
I mean, that's the cool thing about some of the recordings on this album is I think that he hasn't worked it all out yet. Like he's still kind of like, as he's recording this version, he's kind of experimenting with the melody. And so he does kind of, there's a couple places on the album, I know on the first song, like where his voice kind of cracks, like, and so I think that kind of just speaks to like, these are sort of demo quality. Like he didn't really go in and try to nail everything perfect. I mean, but I like it. I think it adds to the charm of it.
Yeah, I mean, once I noticed that, I was really listening. I was trying to listen pretty intently on what the underlying chords were in the chorus, and it is, I don't know what tuning he's using here, but it's like a very strange chord that is kind of the basis of that chorus.
Mm-hmm.
And it isn't, when you listen to the chord, it isn't immediately obvious kind of what the melody should be. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
You kind of like what the root of that chord is, at least to me anyway. I'm sure somebody, could figure that out. But
maybe Rafi would know.
Maybe Raf, he could tell us. But yeah, I couldn't figure that out. So anyway, I did think it was another really interesting composition on here. I really liked it.
Yeah, it's distinct and different from the other songs on the record, which I think is cool.
Yeah. All right, you ready to move on to Eva or Ava?
Yeah, I would say, well, maybe both are correct. I don't know.
Ava. 3 minutes and 35 seconds. Let's go.
You love me 'cause I'm the sun that sets. I'm the candy that coats your bitter pill.
All right, why don't you take us down a journey of these lyrics, because I have no idea.
All right, so listen, this is another political song. Get ready. Get ready, people.
All right, wow, I'm surprised. Is it possible that you might be seeing too much politics in these songs, or do you think? I
don't know if, like, it's entirely possible that it's filtered through my own, doom scrolling present state of mind. I'm sure that has something to do with this, but I there are certain images and lines in these songs that make it undeniable to me that he's making some sort of commentary about right-wing kind of authoritarianism, a need to control, and so anyway, as I was listening to this one, there were a few references in it that I was kind of like, caught my attention. One was the button you press to make your enemies cry. You love me because I'm so triumph of the will. Triumph of the will, of course, is the famous Riefenstahl Nazi propaganda.
Of course. Leni Riefenstahl.
Yes. And then there were a couple of other images that I was kind of like, huh. And then I was like, title of the song, Eva. And I was like, who? Like, is he referring to some, So I did some Googling. And so here's my theory that this song is about or inspired by Eva Braun, the wife of Nazi dictator Adolf Hitler. You may have heard of him. I think that this, and if you, and again, like, we know these lyrics aren't online. We're relying on my hand typed notes. You might my bespoke
Yeah.
lyrics
Bespoke.
that I transcribed, with my own fingers.
Bespoked.
So
You bespoked them.
I bespoked them down, and so I think that this song is either inspired by or or maybe he's trying to sing from her perspective. Even.
Yeah. Well, listen,
my
I
theory.
can.
Oh,
I could not parse the lyrics in this one at all. If I'm being honest with you about this one, I didn't dislike this. I didn't dislike its inclusion on the record, but I had some issues with it. I think the things I like best about the song, I really like the guitar part. I think it's a lovely, lovely guitar part, played very well by him. But I found
it's almost slowcore. It's almost a slowcore guitar part, but not quite. Like it.
Yeah, but it has that, and again, maybe that's the vibe that I'm responding to across the album, is just like the generally more slowcore-ish downbeatness of it or quietness of it. But I really like the guitar part. But I found the vocal lines kind of unfinished or unmemorable, kind of a little bit more of a word salad with no discernible hook.
Yeah.
I think I couldn't tell for sure what it was, but it sounded to me like he almost had an echo effect on his voice in the background.
Yeah, definitely.
That I did not like. I didn't think it worked. I thought it made it harder to discern what was happening in the vocal lines. And so like both the word saladness and the the somewhat more kind of like wall of lyrics, punk rock, spoken word performance style of, I think, these lyric and vocal lines.
Yeah.
That isn't something that I've really ever liked from Eitzel. And then I think combining that with the effect, it kept me out of the song in a way. Like it wouldn't let me in,
I mean, this was more of this feels more like an art piece, like it does have the echo going on, and it feels more like that. And, it's not like verse, chorus, verse. It's more free flow, experiment, beat poet, kind of thing. But I still like it. I think it's just cool to hear him fucking around and trying things,
Yeah, sure. Yeah. Well, all right. So there it is. Are you ready to move on from the Eva Braun song to the Corny Spaceship song?
Let's do it.
Yeah, 2 minutes and 50 seconds. Let's go.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Take me outside history, baby. Take me beyond the sun.
Okay, so J. William Hall, going from a song where I kind of complained that it was not catchy, there is no question that this has a very catchy chorus. That countdown section is extremely memorable. Really nice composition here.
Yeah, and obviously, like, given the title, he must not have thought a whole lot of it. Like, maybe he thought it was a little too sing-songy, with the 10, 9, 8, 7 countdown, which has been done, in many other songs.
4, 3, 2, 1.
Earth below us. Yes. It's got that. It's got a little bit of the, 10 ground control to Major 9, it evokes that. Like, I think even like just kind of the somber tone of it. And I mean, clearly he rejected it, because he thought it was too corny. And so he called it Corny Spaceship song, But
I don't think it is corny. I think it's. I mean, listen. I think corny is okay sometimes.
It's in the eye of the beholder. Yes.
Yeah. No. I don't know. I just really. Anyway, I thought this was kind of a sneaky, really, really memorable, catchy, potential classic. Definitely needs, some workshopping and stuff, but I think this is another one of these songs on here where I was like, after about 3 listens, I was kind of like, whoa, there's actually kind of some real meat there.
I mean, it's definitely subject matter or a perspective that I think he truly has not done before. Like this, like outer space, spaceman kind of, perspective.
Wow.
Talking about spaceships and robots and, so I think that that's cool. He makes a few specific pop culture references in one of the verses that I wanted to just highlight because, obviously when he's writing this song, he has to choose, like what pop culture things is he going to use? Because it's basically in a verse where he's talking about we hear the angels shouting, we'll show them Mahler and Julie London and the redwood tree. So it's like I think he's describing where like they're in outer space and they're showing aliens like the good things about Earth. And so Mahler, I believe, is reference to Gustav
Mahler,
the famous Austrian conductor whose music was banned by the Nazis, and it became popular later.
Yeah.
And I don't, just because we're coming off this song, Eva, like that makes me feel like, was Eitzel, did somebody talk to him about writing songs for some kind of like World War II set play or something, and he started to kind of write some things around that, and it fell through, and then he just continued. I could be making that all up. People don't know. I don't know. I'm just speculating. But so Gustav Mahler, and then Julie London, who was beautiful actress from the 50s and 60s, also a big torch singer. She was one of those sort of buxom singing ladies from the 60s, and had some crossover with Cassavetes.
Yeah, of course, yeah. I believe that crossover was in the film Saddle the Wind. 1958.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah. Well, but no reference. Okay. So go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, so, these must be touch points for Eitzel. These are bits of his, interests or, people that he chose to name check.
Yeah.
In this song, and the redwood tree. So we know he loves his nature. He's out on the hikes.
He does. Yeah.
California reference, So just interesting stuff.
Well, I obviously missed that stuff in the lyrics, but perhaps the reason that that this song appeals to me as well as it does is because of the sci-fi setting, similarly to
Well, that takes you back into Rush territory.
Exactly. Cygnus X1, perhaps.
Right.
Perhaps hemispheres. I mean, God damn. I love it. I love the sci-fi setting.
Maybe Rush with their new drummer. You've heard this, I assume, right?
Sure. No, there will be a special episode that we're doing.
I hope so.
Special reunion tour announcement episode.
Okay, I hope so. But maybe if they kind of busted out a version of this, that would bring the two worlds of backtracking together.
Well, you know what? I think that the chances of that are minimal. But I would definitely be. I know at least a couple of people who'd be happy about that. One would be me. The other one would be Judge Ken.
Right. I would be happy about it because I predicted it, but
yeah,
that
well,
might
I
be
guess
it.
that's
That
true.
might be all.
All right, so why don't we just go ahead and move on to Tori? 4 minutes and 55 seconds. Let's go. Okay, so another instrumental. I want to talk about this one, J. William Hall, because I really liked this instrumental. I have to say that this is the first of these pure kind of experimental, atmospheric things that Eitzel's done in his solo career that I can say genuinely I really liked. I think this was purely additive to the album, whereas I think all of the ones that have kind of come before, it's been neutral to negative. But this one I think is really additive.
Well, that's interesting. I really like this one too. I again wonder about the origins of it. Was this, meant for something else originally, or was this just something he noodled with, on his own and came up with? But it's a nice piece. It's got like different movements to it.
Yeah.
Every minute or so, it's about a 5-minute track, and every minute or so it kind of changes moods a little bit. And I think it's cool.
So this is the same kind of toy piano almost keyboard sound that shows up in There's Someone Waiting.
Yeah.
But
sounds like a music box, like a wind up music box.
Yeah, very Sparkle Horse, I think. I think there was a bunch of bands that did this type of stuff around this time. Granddaddy certainly, but in the opening of this song, it reminded me very distinctly of Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood.
Oh,
that snapped right into my head. But I spent a little bit of time with this song trying to figure out, all right, what is it about this one that makes me like it so much better than the other instrumentals? And I think where I've landed on this is it's the first of his instrumentals that has a real melodic theme. There is like a melody lead in this.
Yeah.
That's discernible and lovely.
That is true. It recurs kind of several times throughout the piece, and that probably is a little bit different than a lot of his other instrumentals are pure mood, whereas this one actually has a little bit more of a melodic thing happening. So, good call.
Yeah, I really think that this is. I was kind of impressed with how far he's come with these songs. I mean, this is not anything that I would have ever imagined Mark Eitzel would be doing. Before I got into these later albums, I really thought about Eitzel as this pure singer-songwriter performer that really kind of came at music primarily from his lyrics, his vocals, and the guitar. And to kind of go in a direction where his lyrics and vocals, which are probably his two most distinctive things, he kind of leaves aside. It's really fun to watch, and I was super impressed with this one. I really like it. I think it's additive. And final question for you about this one.
Yes.
Is the title of the song a reference to Miss Tori Amos?
That is something that is also unknowable. It's not an uncommon name, so I'm sure he perhaps had an acquaintance by that name.
Okay, so so your answer is no.
I see no evidence.
Okay.
None.
All right. Okay, well, fair enough. Why don't we move on to the final track, River? It is 4 minutes and 17 seconds. Let's go.
You gotta try to keep your balance on when I dance with you. The world moves with me.
Okay, Jay William, please take us on a journey into the lyrics of this song.
Well, this is an alternate version of Like a River That's Reaching the Sea, which is the track 2 on Klamath. So, yes.
Hold on.
Yes.
I didn't even pick that up. Is that true?
Yes. This is an alternate version of that song. Like a
Oh
river
my
reaching
God,
the
that's
sea.
a huge failure for me that I didn't pick that up. I wonder why I didn't pick that up.
I'm not saying that when the listeners award the ribbons, they have a blue ribbon, they have a red ribbon.
A red ribbon.
Who's going to get the blue ribbon, which is first place? I believe
the blue ribbon is first
earned
place.
The blue ribbon, first place, pin it on my chest, cemented in that moment when you did not realize that this song, River, is just an alternate version of Like a River That's Reaching the Sea. So, but
I can't
here's
believe
why.
that I missed that.
Here's why you missed it, because you know, there are some same lyrics, but there are some different lyrics. This is a completely stripped back take. And I don't know. I couldn't tell, because I actually tried to go back and listen to the Klamath version to see, is this the same like acoustic guitar, you know, as on that take? And it was hard to tell. So, but this is just, you know, guitar and vocals as opposed to all of the layers that he added on Klamath, which were really good. Like both of us, I think we loved that song. And the production was great, but this is a different take and it has a different feel as a result. Even if that guitar is the same, somehow stripping everything else off, like, you know, I think that this is a worthy version. But I'm interested to hear your take on this, because not realizing that it was the same, you know, veins of the song or whatever, like, what did you think of this?
I totally missed that, and I remember the song from Klamath. It was one of the songs that I really liked off the album. Somehow I completely missed this here, but this was one of my favorite songs off of this album. So I need to go back and actually dig into this side by side with the version off Klamath, and really kind of dig into it a little bit more deeply. But I'm completely stunned that's the case. I'm gonna share with you that this was one of my two options for the best track on the album.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. So I was a big fan. I love the maybe it all gets paid forward, but now I'm questioning whether the lyrics actually show up on the same lyrics on both versions of the song. I need to dig deeper.
Well, this has been a major public faux pas on your part.
Well, yeah, it has. Listen, I can't believe that I missed that. So you noticed that as soon as you heard the song for the first time?
Yeah, I don't know. There must have been a lyric or something that was similar early on that I was like, oh, wait a second, and then you know. But I mean, it feels a lot different. It feels a lot different.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, to me, it almost, you know, going back and listening to the Klamath versions of this and There's Someone Waiting, you know, it made me kind of appreciate what he pulled off on Klamath, which was making it sound like it was this kind of like, oh, I just threw this together in the cabin, you know, kind of vibe. Yeah. But there's a lot of like layers and sounds and stuff that he kind of layered in, but he did it in kind of a subtle way, you know, not like hit you on the head. And, you know, but it really, these are like two separate vibes, you know, of this song. But I could see, you know, we had talked about like retracking this, where we take this one and There's Someone Waiting, we put that on their own like single or something as just like alternate versions, you know, or the Klamath box set comes out, you know, and it's got the demos and the live versions and the B-sides and the, you know.
Yeah. Now you could maybe argue that you could retract this and you could put 6 S's as track 1, then go into Friends, then, run through all the songs, except you move There's Someone Waiting and River to after Tori. And so you kind of, you know what I mean? Then you've got, similarly to Klamath, you've got like the 2 ambient, the instrumentals that are kind of bookending the actual material. And then there's some, hidden track stuff after that. You could go that way.
I could see an argument for that. I could see a case that would convey to the listener probably more immediately that like, oh, like if you labeled those as bonus tracks or whatever, and it'd be like, okay, like, as it is though, an unexpected treat of a listen. I think a must own for Eitzel fans and completists out there.
I'll tell you what, like, I would have never, I have to be totally honest, I would have never expected it, when I just look at the Bandcamp page for Eitzel's solo stuff, there is like a lot of kind of self-release stuff that shows up kind of later, more recently.
Yeah.
And I am not as much into the give me every B-side and outtake that a band has ever done as you are. I know that's something that you really are into.
Right.
I don't like that quite as much. And so I was a little skeptical with a lot of these later records. Klamath and this one, I completely agree. Must owns, really good stuff on here. In many ways, well, we'll have to see what happens in the Tournament of Champions. But in many ways, I could say that these are my favorite Eitzel solo albums.
Whoa.
Period. Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah. I know. Shocking. I'm not going to sign that in blood yet, but that's how I'm feeling right now. I think I like these better than, like them better than West. I like them better than Candy Ass, the covers album, the Greek album. I like these better than. Probably like them better than 60 Watt. I'm not sure, but these are up there for me. So with that, J. William Hall, thinking about the Tournament of Champions, it's time for you to weigh in on the best and the worst. And what I want to know is what you think the worst song on the album is.
Well, it's probably not a huge surprise. And at first I thought, I can't pick that one because it shouldn't count. But it does count because it's on the album. It is 6 S's, also known as is the worst track on this album. But, he's experimenting. He's fucking around. Who cares?
Yeah. I can appreciate that pick. I will even concede that it may, in fact, be the correct answer. However, it's not the answer that I chose, and I'll tell you why. I excluded the instrumentals again from my selections. Not for any really good reason, but really just because that's what I did on Klamath, and that's kind of been my mode up to this point. So I didn't consider successes on here. Instead, I selected Ava as the worst song on the album. Really, it's just not my kind of thing.
Well, I would put it in the bottom half for me, but not the worst. Again, that was a more kind of experimental, trying something wacky with the echo effect on the vocal, and it didn't hit you in the right spot. It's no big deal.
It didn't hit me in the right spot. It hit me in the wrong spot. However, it is your opportunity, J. William Hall, to hit us all in the right spot with your selection for the best song on this album.
My 2 contenders are both on the first half of the album. And I'm actually, I had a third contender on the second half as well. But I think I'm going to go, in consideration for the Tournament of Champions, I'm going to go with track 3, Please.
Oh, Jay William, I cannot believe it. I cannot believe it, and here's why. Because there are 2 possible selections for the best track on this album. River, as I've already mentioned. But I am excluding River because, unbeknownst to me, it is an alternate take of a song that appeared on another album, and therefore, I can't pick it. And so I'm left with only one choice, and that choice is Please.
Hey.
You got it right, J. William
Ding, ding,
Hall.
ding, 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 ding,
We are in
ding, ding, ding,
agreement.
ding.
Please is the best song on this album. It is a potential classic.
So now what happens with the tournament if you only have one song to put in the... Is
It's
that
a short
okay?
tournament. It's a
I
short
mean-
tournament.
I mean,
it's
is that,
like,
it's like the best songs have,
No,
50
no.
songs and the worst have 49 or whatever?
no, you put all of them in. It's the song that you picked in every episode, right?
But if we-
so
if
your
we
best,
both-
your worst.
But if we both pick the same best, then... Oh, you
Then
mean
so-
they goes in twice?
No, we're not doing it together. We're each doing a bracket.
Oh,
So at
okay,
the
I see.
end of the Tournament of Champions, there will be a
See,
Dan's best AMC song,
I'm still
J.
learning.
William Hall's best AMC song, right?
right,
Because otherwise, we're going to have a disagreement there as we're working the bracket, and we're not going to be able to resolve that outside of violence.
Ooh. Well, it's a good thing we're so far away physically from one another.
That's true.
We wouldn't
all
want
right,
this season of backtracking to end in tragedy.
That is right. Now listen, J. William Hall, we're at the end of this episode. I can't believe it. The time has flown by.
Yeah.
I need to go get my eyes checked.
Oh, well, that's important. You need your vision.
Yeah, Jay Honda. My doctor, Dr. Jay Honda, has been texting me saying, got a reminder. So I gotta get going. So before I go, I'm just gonna leave them with all the important details. We're here every week. What you need to do to interact with us is email. You just have to email backtrackingrocks@gmail.com. Or go to Instagram, follow us, share us, send us a message. It's Backtracking Rocks ROX. Twitter, @BacktrackingRocksROX. Reddit, the American Music Club subreddit. You will find us there. Our username is BacktrackingRocksROX. Or on the YouTube. The channel, of course, is Backtracking Rocks ROX. We will be back next week, Jay William. Thank you as always. What are we gonna? No, next week we're gonna be covering.
Copenhagen 2009 live album.
Oh, we're gonna do Copenhagen next week. All right. Well, we're gonna do Copenhagen next week, or Don't Be a Stranger. We're gonna maybe Copenhagen, or maybe Copenhagen plus another live album.
We'll figure it out.
Okay, we're gonna figure it out. There's a lot of goodness to get through, but we are definitely in the final act of this season. So just drink it in, America. Drink it in, because soon the glass will be empty, only to be refilled with more deliciousness in season 3, which we'll reveal in the season 10. But
It's a bottomless stein of hard liquor.
The stein of hard liquor is how I always do it. So J. William Hall, thank you very much for doing this with me. We'll see you next week.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Bye.